This is, I believe, my third year celebrating Women's History Month, and what we have done for the past couple of years is really interview women that I feel are such an integral part of the district. And so, as I did 2 years ago, I'm doing it this year. This year I'm interviewing Laura Lerner, who I think is an integral part of the district, who is also going to be retiring with me, class of 2024.
Class of 2024, yes.
You can see our smiles.
Yeah.
But I think, Laura, I remember interviewing you, and I'm going to let you do most of the talking, but I just want to say that you have been instrumental in changing the way our libraries look and work. And every time I look at the pictures on our website, I see lots of kids in the library enjoying themselves, and that brings me so much joy, because I know that when I hired you a long time ago, it was probably one of the best choices I ever made. So thank you. So I would love for you to sort of introduce yourself. What do you do in the district, and how long have you been here?
I was hired in 2008, and I had come here from Washingtonville High School, and I really loved my job as a high school English teacher. But I was drawn to come to the interview, and I met you and Joe Cotto, and who's also a member of class of 2024.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, I had no reason to leave the position that I was in, because I truly loved it. I'd been there for 16 years, and so I find it very fitting after meeting with you and Joe. You both said to me, we will support you in making change. So how rare is it to have an opportunity to go into a position where you have the support of your administration? So I thank you for bringing me, because it has been the past 16 years. So I've split my career between the two positions. The past 16 years have changed my life in so many ways. So I thank you for taking a chance, for taking a newly certified librarian, and the support that you provided me those early years.
So it wasn't so much of a chance. You knocked it out of the park when we interviewed you. You were everything that we wanted. So just wasn't such a big chance. We kind of knew that you were going to be a home run. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done in the library and made it and changed it so that more and more students want to be in a library, right? It used to be kids didn't want to be in the library. You had to be very quiet, and now libraries are vibrant. Talk a little bit about that.
Around the time when you hired me, there was this discussion of a library being a learning commons, to be a hub. You know, those are some of those catchphrases. It's a hub, it's a learning commons, it's in the center of the school, and at the middle school it is really centrally located. So along with the learning commons and a shift from the quiet, whispers and atmosphere, we started by introducing things such as puzzles, and an area where they could really curl up with a book, some nice new soft seating. I think that's one of the first things you bought me.
Oh, it was I loved it. It was it's beautiful.
They were chairs that were books. So that was one of the first purchases.
Beautifully upholstered.
Beautiful, yes.
It really was.
And we only recently said goodbye to them because they have been so well loved and worn that they really were falling apart. And our wonderful custodians were able to fix them many times over the past 16 years. So we just created different areas for the kids to hang out. We brought in some of the English teachers. They were my first direct source to change how it was being used. And because I was a previous English teacher, that those connections and relationships, Denise Hoskins, who was an amazing teacher, was one of the first to take a chance with me. Kristen Torrey Powell also take a chance with me to come down and do book tastings and match up kids with books that were of interest to them. So we were successful in getting non-readers to read again. And that was a big difference in something we did. And then the other piece I owe to Kelly Mano.
I was waiting for that name to pop up.
Yes, yeah, so the first month or two, it was very quiet in the library, and I just remember thinking to myself, it's really quiet, other than the orientation 6th grade classes, which are great. And then she came in, she just returned, and she introduced herself, and she said, do you want to work on something together? And so then the immigration, 8th grade immigration project was scrapbooks and will you survive the trip to Ellis Island? Will you be sent back? So we created a lot of really fun things, escape rooms and all kinds of stuff. And she then brought other social studies teachers to me because she went back and said, Laura will plan lessons with you. Laura will team teach with you. And I think that was a shift. I think prior to that, the librarians did great work.
Right.
I brought a different perspective.
It was 100%. I think one of the things you didn't mention, which I am very grateful for, we used to have students who didn't feel comfortable in the cafeteria. Do you remember that?
I do.
And we had purchased tabletops.
Yeah.
And so students began to sort of find their way to the library where you would be there. And then you started to they had a trip. Remember that? Every year they'd have a trip and they'd go out and buy books for the library. And then you would come in and fill my office with all the books that they had purchased, right? And we got to look at books, and it was just an amazing thing for me to see these young students who really struggled being in the cafeteria, and they found a home,
Right.
and the home was in your library, and then you took them to this wonderful trip. For them, it was an amazing trip. And it was just such a great way to help kids find their place in the middle school. So that was always very near and dear to me.
And that also was the year that we started the Fast Pass to the library.
Correct.
Because we saw very clearly that we had kids who the cafeteria was too much.
Yes.
So we gave them a Fast Pass to the library like you do at Disney World in the old days. And then we also targeted groups of our really bright, involved kids who had no study halls, who were okay in the library, but we gave them a pass to come during advisory or lunch after they ate, so that they too could begin to use the library, because we were missing those two demographics.
Correct.
And so that's yeah, I've forgotten about that. That's when that started.
So I went, this must have been about a year ago, I went to the high school and I was sitting with some students, and the student came up to me and said, I just want to tell you that I remember I struggled really. I had great struggles at the middle school. Eating in the cafeteria, it was too loud, it was too overwhelming, and it saved my life to be able to come to the cafeteria. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Right. And so that young student is now wanting to be a teacher, plans on being a social studies teacher. So I've shared with that student that I hope that they come back and teach. So maybe they will, but I don't think that you understand your legacy, which is the theme of the district, right? Your legacy was your openness and your willingness to do things differently. Not to say that what was done in the past was not right, but children change and the way that we serve them is different. And so that had a profound impact. And I'm sure there's many students like that, but this particular student, spent a lot of time talking to me about that and how important that was. So thank you.
Yeah,
on
you
behalf
gave me goosebumps.
See?
Yeah,
Full
yeah,
circle.
Full circle.
We did talk a lot about memories, but is there one particular memory that you have of MW that you just like, I just need to share this?
Well, Bargov would appreciate it, but I think he'll understand when he hears the whole story.
Okay.
So.
Oh, it includes Bargov.
It does.
Okay, Bargov.
It does, yes. And he too has been incredibly supportive of our library, so he knows that. So it's coming from a good place. But fall of 2019, when the technology went down, people freaked out, but I did it because I was surrounded by books, and I quietly was upset, of course, of the data breach. Bargov, I legit was. But then as we realized we were going to be without technology for a while, I just smiled and said, well, the library is fully functional with nonfiction and fiction titles. And I had teachers coming down asking me for carts of books. I had students who hadn't used the library in the way that we wanted them to come in and inquire about fiction, nonfiction books. And that fall, along with my colleague Rachel Lubley, who was a brand new librarian in our middle school, she's amazing, we were able to bring students in and help them find an appreciation. So that garnering of appreciation for what a library can do was seen in their faces. So for me, that was a really great memory because life continued in our library and we were busier than ever.
I'm so happy that it was a great memory for you because it wasn't for me. But you know what? I think that that's the silver lining, right? Everything has a silver lining, right? If you can look at something that's really could be viewed as simply negative, but you were able to look at something and make something good out of it, I'm glad to hear that. But I'm sure Bargov, you might not agree with that, but we're all okay. But thank you for saying that. What advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self not to be so worried about the future. I spent a lot of time wondering, well, how is this going to work, and who am I going to be, and who will I build a life with? And I spent a lot of time worrying about that. So I would definitely tell my younger self, and I've told my 2 adult children, it's all good. Just keep moving, keep on your path, and it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to.
I love that. That is true. We're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay,
Which I don't think that they're that rapid fire, but they're good ones.
Okay.
Yes. English teacher.
Yes.
If you had an autobiography, what would the title be?
Oh. Okay. Here we go. The Quiet Revolution. Hold on. The Quiet Revolution. Chronicles of a Library Crusader.
Ooh, that was good.
Right? I'm
that.
a librarian. I should be able to think of a title.
I like that.
All right. A Quiet Revolution. Chronicles of a Library Crusader. Now it's one mascot.
Yes. I think we need to have that written somewhere. Right on the desk. That'll be one of your legacies because you've got lots of them. I have one more rapid fire question. If you could go back in time, what historical event would you want to see? Ooh.
I'll be a woman because we're honoring Women's History Month. So let's go back in time to 1953. Queen Elizabeth II's inauguration. She was only 25 years old, and after her uncle abdicated the throne, it fell to her father. So she grew up never really thinking she would need to assume this role. Yes. Exactly. So what I would like to do is go back to her inauguration to see her at 25, because the way her leadership as a young woman and the weight on her shoulders that she had to have felt, she never compromised, at least publicly. She didn't compromise that internal compass of trying to do the best she could and try to do her duty to her people. And I love the way that she just channeled her principles, and she just moved forward and did the best she could. So I think she's notable as an incredibly strong leader, and I have a lot of respect for her. So I would have liked to have met her younger self at 25.
Ooh. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to say that I'm not surprised that you would pick her, because I think you said some really strong words about, your internal compass. You've always led the district and done what you thought is right. So I am very appreciative. It is Women's History Month, so I get to thank other women. I do have something to give everybody that I'm interviewing, because empowering women empower women. So let me say that again: empowered women empower women. And I think that, thank you. I think that it's really important that the message be that empowered women who have some sort of authority or a place of leadership also bring in other women and empower them. And I think I was very, very fortunate to be able to empower you and to let you do the great things that you did. So thank you.
Thank you.
And this is for you.
Oh, I love that. And I'm not wearing
And
my
it's
lanyard.
and it's red. And she's not wearing her lanyard.
Yes, but I'll put it on as soon as I take it out of my pocketbook. Thank you. Thank you so much.